What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Pokemon Go show. This is episode 6. It has been quite a little while since we released our last one, even since we recorded the last one. But we're back. It's just Kate here today. Shelby is in meetings right now, I think. She's been super busy. I've barely seen her. I know I always say that, but I really never see her very much anymore. She's consumed with grad school, so that sucks, but I guess that's the reality of it. Holy cow, how much has happened since the last time we recorded? Oh my gosh, it's been like at least a month, I think. There's been several events, a new EX raid boss, Deoxys, which I haven't got yet, but I'm really excited to work towards getting an EX pass for that. And then the biggest news of them all, Gen 4 finally dropped. Oh my gosh. Feels like it's been a long time coming. I think Shelby and I both predicted that it would be here like early September. Well, now it's mid-October and it's finally here, which is kind of interesting timing, I think, because I thought they would wait till maybe after Halloween to do like a really big Halloween update, but yeah, it's here, and we're going to dive into that in just a second. But I'll tell you guys a little bit about my Pokemon Go experience since we last spoke. Well, I went to Spain, about a month ago, and I was able to get a Tropius, which was one of the greatest achievements of my Pokemon Go career, I would say. That and getting a Farfetch'd in Japan. I think just getting it in the region where it's available makes it even more special for me. I want to find a shiny in the wild. I don't necessarily want to trade for it. And same with regionals. I did trade for a Mr. Mime, but I think earning it yourself, for me personally, it makes it more special. And I want to take the time right now and just say that Shelby and I are both really sorry that we haven't recorded and put out new podcast recently. We don't have a really good excuse for it. Our goal is to get back to producing weekly podcasts because I know the podcasts that I listen to, I look forward to them every week, and I just enjoy having that consistency. So I think it would be beneficial for everyone if we just released consistently. So that means we are going to narrow down on a day, probably where we can have any day of the weekend to record, because we can't necessarily narrow down a single day or time just because we both have very packed schedules. A lot of times things happen impromptu, so we gotta adjust to that. So I think if we give ourselves the whole weekend, that we'll be able to find at least like an hour and a half to record, and then I can edit it and maybe post it Monday, or let's say we're just going to say Monday. So Mondays is probably going to be when our podcast drops for the future, besides this one. This one should be coming out before the weekend. But yeah, we're really sorry we haven't really been there. That's our biggest goal for the podcast for sure, is to be consistent. And it is something we really enjoy doing. I enjoy listening I enjoy making the podcast, planning for it. Editing's alright. It's not my favorite, but I learned how to do it, and I'm really glad I learned how to do it. My favorite part is interacting with you guys on Twitter, you guys answering or asking us questions so we can answer the questions, or being like, oh, I liked that part, So we're going to do better, we promise. You have my word, and if we don't follow through, you guys should go on Twitter, email us, and be like, hey, where's the podcast? Do your job, and that'll really get me into gear. So anyway, enough of the rambling. I'm going to tell you guys just a couple good Pokemon that I've caught over the last, 2 or 3-ish weeks, and then we'll get into some news, because goodness knows we've got a ton of news. Alright, so I have a really hard time I've got 1100 storage, and I have a really hard time cutting. I have up to 1100 storage, but I currently have 990, and I have a really hard time cutting down that number. I mean, I don't really consider myself a Pokemon hoarder, but I guess I am because I've got 990. But I also think I don't really do mass evolves anymore because I'm not like Terry Wolf and some of the really hardcore players out there where Terry's like level 40 times 4 at least, working towards level 40 times 5. And I like to see my progress, so, when you go through every level, you see the level bar and you can see your XP increasing. I guess after hitting level 40, I didn't see that tangible XP bar to see my progress, so I haven't done mass evolves in forever. So I don't clear out old Pokemon. So I think that's part of my problem with it stacking up. Okay, I'll start with my Tropius. So, long story short, in Spain, I paid for international data, a basic plan. I didn't want to spend a lot of money on data because I didn't really have much need for it because I did have Wi-Fi at the place that I was staying. But I got over there and my data didn't work at all. So I was really disappointed because I wanted to get Tropius and I didn't know if the place where I was staying when I was there, if I would actually have a chance for it. So I wanted to be able to have Pokemon on almost all the time that I was there so I could get Tropius and get a couple extras so I could trade them to people, including Shelby. But unfortunately, I only got one. And I only got this one because my friend who lives in Germany, he has data that I think he can use it through Europe or something. I'm not really sure, but he had data, so he hotspotted me for like a minute, and we walked a couple blocks and we found this Tropius. It was right on the beach. It's 269 CP. I don't think I've powered it up any. Its IVs are really bad. I don't know the exact number, but I'm on Team Mystic and it says not likely to make much headway in battle, so it's not good. But I caught this thing in its natural region, so this is definitely one of my favorites. So I named it Hotspot. I walked it for a while, so I have like 15 Tropius candy. For the heck of it, one day I want to power it all the way up. So that's where I start. And I caught like 3 Volbeats when I was there, which are exclusive to, no, I think it's by hemisphere. It's like the right hemisphere. So I caught a couple of those. I still haven't traded with Shelby. I wanted to trade. I have a ton of Pokemon that I caught in Spain that I wanted to trade for distance for both of us to get the distance travel badge, gold badge. I think I have bronze maybe right now. I can check later. Oh, I caught a Zangoose, which is only in the right hemisphere or Europe or something right now. I really loved the Generation 1 Kanto event. Gen 1 Pokemon, for the most part, were not that common, so just bringing all these back, it was really nostalgic, and I really enjoyed that. I got a shiny Magikarp. That was the only shiny I got from the event, and I already have one, but I will take another one. It's one of my, if not my favorite shiny Pokemon from that event. And I did some legendary bird raids, maybe like 5 or so, but I didn't get any shinies, not any stellar IVs, but it was fun to do those raids again. And then from the egg hatching, I got 2 Kangaskhan, one which is 96%, which I was thrilled with. So I completed my Gen 1 Dex. So yeah, I loved that event. That event was very good for me. Then fast forward a little bit, randomly in my apartment, I caught a shiny Shuppet, which I was not even expecting in the least, but that's pretty cool. That's another shiny that I did not have. And then up until recently, I caught a Lunatone in my apartment, which was my first one, so that was a plus. And then finally, this last Psychic event, I got 2 shiny Drowsy, which I evolved one into a shiny Hypno, and I love the way shiny Hypno looks. It is so cool. I had some pretty good luck over these past few weeks. I hope you guys did too. I really like all these events, especially back to back. It's never really a dull moment, which I really like. It keeps me going, keeps me playing. And yeah, that pretty much leads us into the drop of Gen 4. So Gen 4 released a couple of days ago, and just like in Gen 3, they released them in waves, or they're going to release them in waves. So we have one wave so far of Gen 4 Pokemon. we have 26 Pokemon that dropped. And in Gen 3, they started with the Ghost Wave for the Ghost event last year. And then from then on, they kind of had themes. Like it seemed to be kind of by type or by biome. But with this wave, I am not really sure exactly what the pattern is or if they're going by theme. But if you guys know or if you've noticed, let us know. In this wave, Niantic released the 3 starters for this generation and in their evolved forms. So we have Turtwig, Grotle, Torterra. Turtwig, which evolves into Grotle, and then Torterra. And then we have the fire starter Chimchar, which evolves to Monferno and Infernape. And then finally the water starter Piplup, which evolves to Prinplup and Empoleon. I think I like these starters better than Gens 2 and 3. Definitely not better than Gen 1, but I really like these starters. I think their graphics look really, really good in the game. I think I've seen a Torterra, and it looked so awesome with the huge tree on its shell. It was really, really cool. So you can get those Pokemon either in the wild or by hatching them, I believe, from 5-kilometer eggs. And I don't think that the second and third stages are in the wild. I think you can only get the starter form from either an egg or in the wild, and then you'll have to get enough candy and evolve. So we have those 3. Then we also have another family with 3 evolutions. We have Starly, which evolves into Staravia and Staraptor, which Starly can be found in the wild, and it can also be hatched from an egg. I think 5-kilometer egg, but I'm not quite sure. And then we have one of the more famous ones that I've seen on Twitter, Bidoof, which evolves to Bibarel. I have already seen enough Bidoof. It's really cute and I like it, but it is definitely the new Sentret, Rattata, whatever you want to call it, of this wave. And then we have Kricketot, which evolves to Kricketune. I've seen several Kricketots. You can find them in the wild, and GoHub also says that it can be hatched from an egg. I'm looking off a Pokemon GoHub graphic, which really breaks it down nicely if you guys want to go check that out. Then we have Buneary, which evolves to Lopunny, which is a cute little bunny. You can find it in the wild or hatch it from an egg. And then, these last 2 groups I'm really excited about. So we have what we think, or I'm pretty sure we know at this point. We have 3 regionals: Carnivine, Chateau, I don't know, and Pachirisu. We can talk about those more in just a little bit. But those are the new regionals from this wave, which is really exciting. And then we have got the Shinx family, which can evolve to Luxio, and finally Luxray, which I love this line. It's a really cool design. Pretty, somewhat meta-relevant, I think. And Shinx can be hatched in 10-kilometer eggs, or you can also get it from a Tier 1 raid, which is kind of interesting considering Tier 1 raids and 10K hatches are not really paired together. I like it. It's pretty accessible. And then Riolu hatches from a 10K egg and evolves to Lucario, which is one of my favorite from this generation for sure. Collecting the Pokemon cards, Lucario, I really like the way Riolu and Lucario are on the cards. I think they're very artistic looking, and I really like that. Or they're not artistic, they're portrayed very well artistically, and so I really like that. Of these Pokemon, the ones that I have seen, like I said, I've seen Bidoof too much. I've seen Kricketot and Buneary and Starly. I would say less than the starters, personally, which is kind of interesting because I feel like the starters usually aren't very easy to find. But for me, I've seen Chimchar, and then probably second Piplup, and then third Turtwig, which is interesting because usually, I don't know if it's our biome or just the nature of the spawns here, usually grass starters and grass Pokemon are more common. So it's interesting that Turtwig is the least common starter that I've seen. And Chimchar, usually fire is the hardest to find, but it's cool. My least favorite is Chimchar in that line. My favorite, I don't know. Piplup is so cute, but I love Torterra. So Torterra is probably my favorite final stage, but Piplup is probably my favorite starter. If I had to pick, it would have been Piplup. That's another interesting thing. In Gen 1, we got to pick our starter, but since the new generations have been released, you don't get to pick your starter from that generation. They're just in the wild, and you have to find them. I don't really know why Niantic did that, but that's an interesting thing that I've never really thought about. So, the regionals from this wave, Pachirisu, Chatot, and Carnivine. So Tauros is found only in, for the most part, the United States, besides not like the very, very southern part of America, including South Texas, South Florida. That's where Heracross is, but then it goes as far north, it only covers southern Canada. So Pachirisu is the northern regional, and it has been spotted in places including northern Canada, Alaska, and northern regions of Russia. So basically, you have to go really, really far north of the equator to find Pachirisu. As far north as, I think GoHub says, past 52 degrees north, a latitude of 52 degrees north. So that's where you would have to go to travel to get a Pachirisu. And then Chatot has been spotted in the southern hemisphere, including countries like Brazil, Australia, Uruguay, Argentina, South Africa, Chile, Zambia, Paraguay, New Zealand. However, I don't know if there's an overlap in Australia and New Zealand with Kangaskhan and Relicanth. Maybe not, since those are strictly by country. So we'll be looking out for that. And then Carnivine has only been reported in the southeastern United States. That's interesting. It's like even more specific. It has been spotted in Florida, Tennessee, Alabama, North and South Carolina, and the Bahamas. What about like Georgia, Mississippi? Oh well. I have seen several people here in Alabama that have Carnivine, so I can definitely confirm that it is in Alabama. But that's really interesting that that's very, very region specific. But interesting. I don't remember was there a regional in every wave, or was it only one wave that had the regionals? I don't know. Well, there's usually 2 to 4, so I don't know if we'll see anymore, but that's where those regionals are, and we'll be looking out to see if they're spotted anywhere else or if we have any more specifics on that. And then you can hatch, you can hatch the starters in 5-kilometer eggs, and then in Tier 1 raids, you can find Bidoof, Buneary, Kricketot, and Shinx. Now, Shinx is the really special one here because this is the first confirmed shiny from Gen 4. And it is golden, which, according to past shinies, golden shinies proved to be very popular. So that's awesome. I have not seen any Shinx raids for Tier 1. So I wonder if they're just more rare in Tier 1. Yeah, Shinx is awesome looking. Go look at a picture if you haven't seen it yet. And then Shinx can also be found in 10-kilometer eggs along with Riolu. I think Riolu can only be found in 10-kilometer eggs. My struggle with these later generations, since Pineapps and Rare Candies have come out, I struggle with, do I want to really, really grind it out and not Pineapp anything unless it's like really rare and not use any Rare Candy? Or do I want to really take it slow and kind of do it Gen 1 style before we had any of these extra tools? And I think for Gen 3, I did Pineapp, but I didn't use Rare Candy except for maybe like the last 2 evolutions that I needed, which were Salamence and Metagross, because I really wanted to take my time with it, because I knew once I'd finished, then we just would have to wait until Niantic, kind of just released the next thing. So my plan with Generation 4 is to take it slow. I might pineapple a few things, but definitely not use any rare candy unless it's just something that I absolutely can't wait for, like Lucario. I might put in a little bit, but I probably won't go all the way with it. I don't know. I'm saying that now. Who knows? But that's kind of a topic of debate with the rare candies. I know it was last time because people were worried that people would just dump all their rare candies into all these new evolutions and be done really fast and then be like, all right, what's the next thing? So I think that might be part of why, well, it may not be why, but I think to counteract people grinding really fast and getting everything very quickly, I think that's why Niantic released Gen 3 and are doing the same with Gen 4 in waves, which we got a question about that, so we can talk about that a little bit later. As for the best Pokemon in this wave, I can't say for certain, but I'm going to go with Lucario and Luxray. I think they have advantageous typings. Well, Lucario more specifically. Luxray is electric, and then Lucario is steel fighting. So I think that makes it stand out from most of the Pokemon that we have in Gens 1 through 3. So that's the one that I would have to say. That's the one that I'm most excited for in this wave. Not just because I personally really like this Pokemon, but I think it will be useful, and it'll be one of those coveted Pokemon. And then we'll have to see, once people start to get Lucario, how it will perform in the meta against, gym defenders, against raid bosses. I'm not sure what it's effective against, but I can look that up and let you guys know next time. The starters, I don't think they're the best in their respective fields. Infernape, I don't think it comes close to Ho-Oh or Moltres. Kyogre is such a dominant water type. I think Torterra would probably rival some of the top grass attackers, but I'm not sure its stamina and HP, so I'll have to look that up too for next time. My plan for the ones out right now, I really want to find Shinx raids, and since I've been having a pretty easy time finding the starters, just normally playing, I think I can be able to get enough candy for those evolutions pretty quickly. So I want to find Shinx raids, and I want to go through eggs so I can get 10Ks and hope that I can hatch Riolu and Shinx. And I'm not really sure if they're going to adjust or take out some of the things in the 10K eggs to maybe make it a little easier, or if they'll increase the rates. We'll just have to see with that when we get a little bit more data, a little bit more research. Pokemon Go Hub is really, really good. And Silph Road, they're really, really good about conducting research and giving us some numbers about the likelihood of getting these Pokemon. And it's interesting now with another generation, now we have 4, that it's interesting how they balance giving you a chance to get these new Pokemon while not making them super hard to get. It's like they'll probably just dial back the other ones. That's why I think they're probably going to dial back Kanto the most, because we've had a couple really solid Kanto-focused events so that they can focus more on maybe Gens 3 and 4 in the wild. I would be okay with that. That way you can appreciate hunting that generation, when it first comes out. So kind of going with that whole rebalance with the spawns, recently, right before Gen 4 dropped, a day or so before, there was a major stat rebalance in the game. So you may have noticed for a few hours, some of your Pokemon had different CPs. So you may have had a new highest CP Pokemon. I don't know if most, but some got nerfed, some got buffed. I was really excited because Rayquaza got buffed, and that's one of my favorite Pokemon for sure. But then some got, I think Mewtwo got nerfed. Blissey definitely got nerfed. So people had some mixed opinions on that. Some people saved certain numbered Pokemon like CP10, CP420, stuff like that. So people were a little bit upset. But then that only lasted for a few hours. And then after that, it was reverted back. So Not really sure if they wanted to dial it back and it was just an error. So even though they reverted back to the stats before they altered them and before Gen 4 came out, it leads us to think that they're tampering with the stats because maybe we're going to get a gem rework, or they're moving closer to PvP. So even though it reverted back, I think it's a good sign because it shows that a Pokemon is not defined just by its CP and not just by its attack. We want Pokemon to be useful like in defenders, stamina wise, because when they do rework the gym and when PvP does come out, these things, it all becomes more three-dimensional. And each stat is going to play a major role in defining the Pokemon and its capabilities, abilities, and all that stuff. So if you missed it, don't worry, you didn't miss anything because they changed it back right after 4 hours or so. And so all is well, but now it leads us to think, what did that mean? What's coming next? And then the next day or so, they released Gen 4. So a lot happened in that little span. As of now, we don't have any new moves for Gen 4. Well, actually, let me go and see what some of mine have. Yeah, so I don't think that these are new moves yet for these Gen 4 Pokemon in this first wave. So we're going to be looking to see some new moves coming out soon. There were new moves in the code, I believe. So we have that to look forward to as well. So moving it a little bit in the direction of Halloween, I was a little bit surprised that they released Gen 4 this close to Halloween because, well, I'm not surprised that they released it about this time because this is about when they released it last year. But last year when they released Gen 3, they did it with the introduction of new ghost Pokemon. So I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't do that again and that this wave that it has no tie to Halloween at all. So I'm wondering if here very soon if they're going to release maybe a couple of the ghost type Pokemon for Halloween, or if they're just gonna make the Halloween event more focused on Pokemon that are already in Gens 1 through 3. I think what would be a really good event is if it featured Ghastly and Ghastly was shiny, because Ghastly and Haunter and Gengar, it's such an iconic line that I think it would be really, really big to do an event focused on Ghastly and the Ghastly line. I know there was a lot of speculation on Twitter that Ghastly might be the community day featured for October to celebrate the month of Halloween, and then when it was not Beldum, that kind of led a lot of people to think that it might be coming for a Halloween event or it might be saved for something else in October. So I think for Halloween, we're going to see an event. I'm going to guess Monday the 22nd or Tuesday the 23rd. That seems like about the time when they would drop an event and it would last until Halloween. That's my guess. And I'm going to say they don't release any Gen 4 Pokemon. That gives us a little bit of time for this current wave, and then once the event ends, still a little bit more time so they can spread it out a little bit. And I think for the Halloween event, we're going to see all the ghost Pokemon in Gens 1 through 3. And since they're going to be spawned more, you can have another opportunity to get those shiny forms. And then I think we're going to see the introduction of shiny Ghastly. And that really excites me. When the game first came out, October, the Halloween event was the first event, if I'm not mistaken, for Pokemon Go. So it always holds a special place in my heart. And I really love Halloween anyway. So I'm really looking forward to see what's going to come from this future Halloween event. I would be willing to bet money it's shiny Ghastly, but we will see. We'll see very soon. Let's see. Finally, I think the last little bit of news, without just talking for forever about Gen 4, is Beldum Community Day is this Sunday from 11 Pacific to 2, I believe. Where I live, it's in Central Time Zone. It's 1 to 4. So in the standard time that Community Day has always been for you, we are going to see Community Day featuring Beldum. And this is the first Community Day with a Gen 3 Pokemon. So for this community day, Beldum will be the feature with a chance to encounter its shiny form. And then Metagross will have, for this limited time, Meteor Mash, which is a 2-bar steel type move as its charge move. So I believe that Meteor Mash will make it more viable as a steel type attacker. It seems to be a really good move to use against rock and ice. GoHub says that it will probably be better than Flash Cannon, which is one of its current steel type moves. So this is a really, really good opportunity to get multiple Metagross and to get them with really good moves and obviously exclusive moves that you can only get during this time. So hit it hard for this one. I'm super excited about this one. This is the most excited I've been for a community day since maybe Charmander, I think. I'm definitely going to be out from 1 to 4 from the very beginning till the very end, getting as many Beldum and as many shiny, hopefully, because this also has one of the coolest shiny forms. If you don't know what it looks like, go ahead and Google it. It's really, really awesome. So the standard 3-hour lures for the duration of the event. And then the little extra bonus for this event is eggs hatch 4 times faster for the duration of this event. So I have a couple 10K eggs stashed away that I will be walking during this event. So it will hatch faster, hopefully pick up a couple more, maximize my chance at getting a Shinx or 2 or some Riolus, hopefully, fingers crossed. And I know we only have a few days until the event, but I am going to be stacking up on Ultra Balls, not using any unless absolutely necessary, and storing up Pineaps and not using those either, so I can have as many Ultra Balls and Pineapple Berries for when Community Day comes around this Sunday. I also expect Niantic to release a Community Day box that might also have some incenses, lures, maybe incubators, possibly Ultra Balls, Pineaps, stuff like that that will help you maximize this event. That's what I've been saving my coins for. Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. Beldum Community Day, Gen 4 release, hopefully a Halloween event soon. The game is good right now. I have nothing, well, just kidding. Not nothing, but I'm very, very pleased with the game right now, and it makes me really excited to go out and be playing, especially as the weather cools off here, and the fall is just a great time. I really love the fall. And with the fall, let's fall into some shout-outs. So these people who are going to be shouted out, before we record, we send out a tweet that says, hey, we're recording, and like or retweet this for a shout out, and then you can also comment or DM us any questions that you have that you want us to answer on the show. So right now we're going to move into shout outs and questions. So our shout outs go to Hero Killa at Hero Killa, longtime fan of the show. What's up, Hero Killa? Lured Up Boocast and Gotta Scare 'Em All at Gotta Watch 'Em All, a fellow podcast of Pokemon Go, and the Pokemon Go anime. Awesome podcast. Another to Curtis Prohl at Kurt_McGirt. Thank you, Curtis. Next, the one and only, the Terry Wolf, level 40 × 4, Pokemon Go trainer at QWiz, another homie of the show. Thank you, Terry. Then Chris Pupa at Waldo in Ohio, another homie of the show. Thanks, Chris. Next, GoCast Chris at Sequins. He's the host of the GoCast podcast, another great podcast. Go check him out. Next, we've got Pokemon Go Radio. What's up, guys? At Pokemon Go_radio. Love their podcast. Go check them out, too. And then 3 more. Matt McGuire at MattyMatt5. Thanks, Matt. Michael Gansey at The Real Mike Hook. Thank you, Michael. And Don Neeram at Donkster K. Sorry about that. Thank you, Don. So thank you guys so much for reaching out to us on Twitter. It really, really means a lot. It kind of puts it into perspective that other people listen, which is really encouraging. We want to do this for the community, so it really means a lot that other people are out there and having a good time like we are. Finally, we've got 3 questions to wrap up the show. One is from Terry Wolf. He said, Gen 4 hype, and I have one question. When are we getting Gen 5? That is exactly what I was thinking. I'm already bored with Gen 4. Where is Gen 5? But following their little pattern, I guess, we probably won't see Gen 5 for another year. But that's okay because this generation is pretty loaded. I'm really excited for this, and since they don't release it all at one time, releasing them in waves, I think it really helps to spread out the hype and the content, which also we had another question about. Michael Gansey asked, what are your thoughts on the slow rollout of Gen 4? I mean, it's got its pros and cons. Since I didn't release the whole generation at once, that kind of takes like the huge hype away from it. Like, people can't go out there and grind and finish it and, however long it takes, couple days, couple weeks, couple months. So I think it loses a little bit of the hype, but at the same time, releasing it in waves, it kind of just maintains and prolongs the hype. I think it makes it last longer. Well, it does make it last longer, which I think is good for the game. It makes sense from Niantic's perspective. They can spread out their content. They can plan when they want to do it, keep it interesting, not let there be a lull. Like when before Gen 2 dropped, people were done with Gen 1 for several months and there was a huge lull. I think that's when most of the player base was lost. So it makes sense why they release it in waves. I don't have a problem with it. I like it. It makes it not more manageable, but I like having a few, it's like a checklist almost. I like having just a few to focus on, and then if I still don't finish them by the next wave, that's okay, because I can still keep working on it. It's not like it goes away, which I like. But I mean, for those hardcore players that really like to grind and they play, several hours a day, I can understand how it's really frustrating and kind of stinks, honestly. But I think it's good for the game overall because it keeps players playing consistently and it gives all of us something to look forward to. Like, we know there's going to be several more waves of this generation, so I like it personally. And I like how they do the waves in themes, although I can't really figure out what this one is, and it's really bothering me. So seriously, if someone figures it out, please let me know, unless it's just random or like the first however many of their Pokédex number. I don't think it's that though, but whatever. And then, so our last question is from GoCast Chris. He says, what do you think will be in Wave 2 of Gen 4? I either think that there's going to be the release of the Ghost Pokemon in conjunction with the Halloween event, although I don't know if that would overshadow Shiny Ghastly if that were to happen. If not that, then I'm going to guess an evolution event. So there's lots of Pokemon in this generation that evolve from prior gen forms. I think that might be the next thing that we see. I think that's where a good bit of the hype is because it's more familiar. There's a couple new baby forms, which I'm going to guess we can only get from eggs, as that's how the past has been. So I'm going to go with either the Ghost Pokemon or evolution-based Pokemon. I don't really remember last year how often they released these waves. I want to say it was at least a couple weeks. So, I don't know. We'll see. We will see. So thank you guys if you've been sticking around up until the very end. We are sadly coming to an end of our show. If you want to hear more, or if you want to watch some video content, we have all of our podcasts posted on our YouTube channel, where we also have Pokemon card openings. I love to collect the cards, and I haven't posted a video in a hot minute, but there will be several more coming of the new set Dragon Majesty. I opened a lot of product from that, so I'll be posting those videos. I got some really good stuff, so go check it out on our YouTube channel. We can also be found on SoundCloud, Pokemon Go Show, or your regular podcast providers such as iTunes and Google Play. That's where you can check us out to listen to our show if you want to hear more. We have 5 previous episodes, and then this is our 6th. And then there will be more weekly content coming up, probably on Mondays, so look for us on Mondays. YouTube videos, 1 to 2 a week. That's my new goal. As long as I've got the content, which I've been opening up little too many cards recently, so I can probably do 2 videos for a little while, and then I have a couple other videos stored up. They're a lot of fun. Go check them out if you haven't. That makes me happy. I like collecting, and in the future we want to do giveaways where we can give listeners some of the cards that are in my collection too. So maybe you guys can start your own collection or just have a little keepsake. It's a fun time. So if you want to contact us, if you just want to say hey, or if you have any questions that you want answered, you can email us at the Pokemon Go Show 99@gmail.com, or probably the best way to get in touch with us is on Twitter at Pokemon Go Show 1. That's it. We're going to call this one a wrap. Hopefully next time Shelby will, we're making her come on this next one. She can take a break from all her busyness and hang out with us, because it's a little weird talking by yourself and it's probably kind of boring, so I'm sorry. I tried to keep it interesting, but I'm not that interesting, so probably didn't work too well. Anyway, thanks for listening. Catch you guys later. Bye!